Hey guys, welcome back to Bustin EXP. This is Brandon. It's been a little bit since we've done one of these, but we've had a pandemic, whatever you want to call it. But as you guys know, I have my great buddy here. He's back on the show, and I appreciate you, man, coming back on. But he brought a special guest,
That's right.
right? He brought his lovely wife, Charisse.
Right. Yep.
And both of them are in the medical field. And as you know, he's a book writer, songwriter. So, Charisse, I'm actually going to let you introduce yourself first and tell us what you do.
I'm Charisse. I've been a nurse for 10 years now. I work in the mother-baby unit, so I take care of the moms and the babies postpartum after they give birth. And that's what I've been doing for the past 10 years. Been married for, oh Lord, it'll
17.
be
150.
Yeah, 17 years.
We're vampires.
Together 18 years. Is that what that makes me, a vampire? Okay. Yeah, we have 3 lovely kids and no more.
No more.
We're done, right?
No.
And so, what do you do in the medical field for everybody that doesn't know?
I'm a shocker.
You shock people.
I'm a shocker. I shock people for a living. I'm a neurodiagnostic technician in St. Joe's in Tampa. And what I do is I do nerve conduction studies. Mostly, I can also do EEG testings.
Okay.
But in the unit that I am in right now, I mostly just do the nerve tests. So that way, the 3 neurologists that I work for, they can do the proper testing with me with the EMG part of the test, which is like a little needle part that they do too. But yeah, that's what I do, man. I just shock people for a living.
And
Very
stick them
cool.
with needles too?
They stick needles. I don't do no needles. Anybody ask me, even when I started doing this kind of job 11 years ago, thanks to the amazing and epic Dr. Thomas DiGeronimo, give it a shout, and my boy Glenn Turner, who is my co-writer.
Who has yet to come on the podcast,
He needs
by the way.
to come to the podcast.
That
We
is-
still got it. Look what
He
look
drew
what your
this.
boy Brandon got back here, Glenn.
He drew this, and
Yeah.
he is still yet to come on.
He needs to come here.
Shame.
That's shame. Shame. But either way, that's what I started 11 years ago, doing the shocking treatment. But even from day one, I was like, if I have to poke anybody, I ain't doing this.
Yeah.
Nope. No poking.
I get to poke people.
She does.
Yeah.
She does the poking and do shocking.
And so, okay, so we're all in a pandemic, right? So how has that affected both of you guys personally and professionally as a citizen and as somebody in the medical field?
Thanks for.
Wow, that's a big one. Well, mostly personally, at first it was scary walking into work. You know, the unknown, and oh my gosh, I don't want to get, the virus and bring it home.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially both of us, because, we both are exposed to patients, and then we have 3 kids, so, bringing that home, that was scary, or, putting yourself out there, you are doing your job, and a job that you love and enjoy, but at the same time, you're putting your life out there, risking getting sick and bringing it home and getting your loved one sick. Professionally, I would say it changed a lot of our policies and procedures and how we handle a lot of our work. So we had to adapt to some of those changes in order to deal with the pandemic. So a lot of us having to wear more protective gear during work and, patient placement, etc. But mostly, usually Angel and I are really good about stripping down, not outside where everybody can see us, but, not bringing shoes inside the house, and stripping down and showering before we come in contact with each other and the kids, because we do bring tons of germs and bacteria from work, from being around so many people. So that, that's remained the same. But even more so, like, you're even more cautious about it. And one of us is doing the grocery shopping and keeping the kids inside. That's been hard. So they know that we go to work, and they know that we're, seeing some of this, and then get to come home. So at first it was really hard for them, not to come and give us a hug, and, they had understood that we had to, like, get cleaned up first before we came. So that was hard for the little ones at first.
The transition of that.
Yes. It's like, no, you can't come and run and hug us yet. We need to get cleaned up first. Yeah. But still, you worry even after you've cleaned up, am I still carrying this? Am I still going to infect them?
Yeah.
I'm mostly the person that goes and gets the groceries and, is exposed, to that. That was hard at first.
How concerned are you from then when it first started to now?
I'm still cautious. The way that they explained it to us and a lot of the physicians that I've had the opportunity to speak with, they just mentioned, just pretend like everybody has it, you know. So, for us in the medical field, like we always, this isn't new. Like our grandmas taught us to wash our hands, like don't cough with your mouth open,
don't touch your face. Yeah.
Don't touch your face, you wash your hands after you use the restroom, you wash your hands before you eat, don't put your hands in your mouth. So these are things that, a lot of us, like especially in the medical field, like we know about germs and viruses and how they're transmitted. But when you're out and about, like a lot of people aren't knowledgeable about these things. But now with this virus, I think people are learning that these are the major infection travelers. Like your hands. How many things we come in contact with that when we're touching. In our shoes. Surfaces that you've been. So I think all these things a lot of us knew in the medical field, but I think people are starting to learn and be more aware of, which is great. We're out of Lysol wipes, so people are cleaning their houses.
Everyone is.
So I mean that's good, but
and toilet paper.
And toilet paper. I don't know. I saw some stocked up at Walmart yesterday or day before yesterday.
I don't understand the toilet paper fascination, honestly.
It's because it's a crappy situation.
It is. Or you're gonna be stuck at home more. I don't know. You get nervous and I don't know.
That was epic.
But I think we just need to be more cautious. I mean, there are other germs and viruses. Like we still have the flu. There's still bacterial infections that we have to watch out for. I mean, it's the season too. I think this all started during flu season. And then Angel and I were talking about, allergies. People that suffer from allergies, especially asthma. Like the pollen's really high during allergy season, and then all this stuff from the Sahara Desert, like, usually affected us a lot in the Caribbean, but, some of it makes its way here. That's why we get hurricanes and stuff. But, asthmatics and people that suffer from allergies are, they're a little bit more predisposed to get sick. You've already got something going on. So, of course, we're going to see more people get the flu and get sick. I think the only worry with this virus is that we don't know a lot about it. It's new, and that it's so rapidly it's very contagious. It's a lot more contagious, know, and we're still learning from it, and viruses can mutate and,
How deadly do you think it is?
I think it's deadly, depending on the host. I mean, of course, I think that's why it's hit the elder community more because,
like people that are susceptible.
Right, the susceptible community or the immunocompromised, because whether it's COVID or the flu or bacteria, anything really, they're going to have a harder time fighting stuff off.
Yeah.
But I don't think that it's deadlier than influenza, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
But there's tons of research studies out there, and we're still learning, really. I think we're going to know more statistically in a few years once we've made more research from all this.
I hope we would.
Right. So I mean, it's hard to say, but I do know that it's a lot more contagious than the flu.
Yeah.
And when it happens, it's quick.
Yeah.
But one of the good things that I've seen, though, I really like that. I know that a lot of people didn't, but that they closed down the schools because, let's face it, children don't necessarily have the best, hygiene all the times. They're not washing their hands as often as they should or cover their mouths when they cough. But usually we don't see a lot of kids get sick during the summertime, because they're out and they're playing and they're getting sunlight, they're eating right, they're not around all these other kids, enclosed.
But doesn't that also build immunity too if you're constantly exposed?
Right. So, I think that's why we haven't had a lot of kids come to the hospital, and be sick. And usually during the summer, we don't.
Yeah.
So I think we started seeing that earlier on. So we're like, oh, it feels like it's summer, but it's not. It's still spring. But it's probably because those kids were kept home. But, being out in the sun and playing and all that helps build immunity as well. So
how do you guys feel about everything opening back up? Too soon, or you think it's about time?
I think in my sense it's about time.
Yeah.
That it starts to open up, because I mean, what else can we do in that sense?
It's a good question.
It's
a very real question.
Unfortunately, it's the only thing that it could be done. I mean, I don't have any more answers for it or any more explanations, because I mean, we're talking about this as well. I mean, people that need to have social points. There's been transitions of mental issues and things like that have been going on. People are just being enclosed like that. Some people, because their social points, they get
depressed
depressed, yes.
Anxious, they're tired of being locked up inside. We're seeing a lot of that.
So I think it's the right time.
Right time.
I think it's the right time, and slowly, and I love
safely.
Yes,
take precautions.
Yeah, I love how everything is going, and I think also, from my perspective, I think it's been a positive point. Mm-hmm. There's been a little bit of a positive point, because now people are being more precautious.
Yeah, they're taking precautions.
Yes,
they're actually washing their hands.
Yes, they're doing
keeping their distance.
And I think businesses and commercial aspects as well, they're going to be able to take things seriously and in a different manner. I mean, I don't know how in the world a place like the movie theater is going to work.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I'm saying? That's the number one, because we live right next to a movie theater. So I was like, how in the world are they going to do that? Now, the movie theater we live next to, you have to reserve your seat to do it. But what about the other movie theater in the south that they don't reserve any seats? They just sell their tickets to whoever comes and do their thing. So I mean, there's transitions like Disney World, for instance. How are they going to transition to that? They were talking about using the bands, so that way they can be like, okay, this is the amount of people that we can have, and then we just want people to work their way in and be 6 feet apart from each other. How in the world are they going to do the lines?
I mean, you can't really. That's a hard thing to enforce. Right. Like,
but at least other things. In the phase one that they're talking about, I think that they've done things right.
Yeah.
But now it's just looking ahead to the next phases and seeing how are they going to do different things like sports events and theme parks and movie theaters.
And if we're going to see a second wave of this virus, I
think that's a complication.
If it's going to be a seasonal thing, or if it's going to be like our new normal from now on, like flu season. It's also COVID season.
Yeah.
And I heard, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, I heard that like they think once you get it that you can't get it again.
Well, I know for a fact. I'm a member of COVID-19 providers thing on Facebook. It's private.
Not so private anymore.
And I know of members only. So there has been cases of nurses, especially that work in these COVID areas. Which, by the way, thank you so much, because they're the real heroes.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I have heard of some of them get it more than once. Like they have to continually, be tested. So like, they can still test positive. And like I said, I mean, you can get flu A, and then the next time you get the flu B, flu, so like there's different strains, and then like we talked about bacteria, viruses, they can mutate, so there could be different strains of this virus. We're still learning about it. So you could get it again, because I know somebody that has.
Interesting.
Yeah,
so we'll see.
interesting.
But I mean, we're also talking, we're also hearing talk about there being people that, are immune to it, so, that have antibodies. So we'll see. I mean, things will develop
and
throughout the
from my
time.
perspective, I think how we see the flu here in Florida, because of how many changes we get in here.
Yeah.
We've had multiple flus. I'm not sure about you, Brandon, but we've had flus many times.
Yeah.
And also, as being healthcare providers, we have to get this shot.
Yep.
Which is a flu.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Again, but it could
but in
different strains
just like you're
of the
saying,
flu
it's
vaccine.
yes. So I mean, we don't know if the COVID is going to be like the flu. Is it going to mutate or is it going to?
So I think that's one of the biggest things.
Yeah.
Like, it's so unknown.
Yeah.
It's such a new, virus that the unknown, I think, scares some people.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I think eventually, I mean, we can't live in fear, and like
Agreed.
you said, eventually we had to open, because people have lost their jobs. They have to be able to provide for their families.
Yep. And then all the suicides and all that stuff that we were talking about
There's been a high incidence of depression and, suicides. They're in the rise, people losing their jobs.
It's true.
Alcoholism, we've seen a rise in domestic violence. So there's other effects that we're seeing with the COVID, and I'm sure people have noticed, with people not being able to provide for their families, not having health insurance, losing benefits, not being able to go to the doctor like they used to. So maybe not, diagnosing that cancer right away, because it got put off. Or that dental carie, so we didn't go to the dentist for how long?
I don't understand those people that think that everything just needs to be locked down until there's a cure for 18 months. And I'm like, because they're saying people are going to die, which they were saying that people are going to die in the streets, right?
People die every day.
People die every day, which doesn't minimize it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not to diminish it, but I don't think people are aware of how many people die every day. And when you work in a hospital or a medical facility, you see this all the time. But now with this COVID-19 stuff, you're seeing those numbers and, statistics and, and I think it does make people scared, oh my gosh, this many people died.
Yep.
But I mean, when you work doing this for a living, we see it, people die and then we see people be born every day. Also, a lot of them, by the way, especially in Polk County.
Right.
Y'all slow it down.
Yeah.
We're which is another right, which is another thing that's coming. We were talking about. We're gonna see a lot of COVID babies. They're
people bored out there. We gotta do something.
Some Ronnies and some Covina.
Rona.
People aren't
COVID.
People aren't going to get their birth control or say, you know what, I'm not going to risk getting the COVID and go and get protection, or they're at home quarantined and there's not many options, so we're going to see that too, unplanned pregnancies, because not all of them are planned, I'm sure. But, I think eventually we did have to open. I think Lakeland's done a very good job, personally. I think, I've been to some of the stores and they're placing tapes of where people should stand, and doing lines and at the Publix this way. I was doing groceries one day and a gentleman was like, "Ma'am, you're going in the wrong direction." I was like, "Oh, my bad. I'm so sorry."
Wow, they're enforcing that.
Right.
I've gone the wrong direction a bunch of times.
We were both wearing masks, but I was like, "Oh, okay." I had no idea because the previous time that I had been there, they didn't have that. So, so I think those things have helped, and they've placed shields. Which, by the way, I wish I could have a shield before I assess my patients or come in contact with them.
Yeah.
Those are really cool. But these plexiglass shields to protect their employees. That sort of stuff. I'm glad people have stopped using gloves because that was getting on my nerves.
Yeah.
That's gross. But I think the mask wearing, I read a couple articles and that other countries had a lot of good results with people wearing masks out and about. And the social distancing, obviously. But if you can socialize and be cautious and be aware of these things, I think it'll work. But I think we need it to open because of
Yeah.
other issues that we're seeing secondary to being isolated. Can we really realistically isolate until it's over? I don't think so, because we don't know how long this is
Yeah.
going to be.
Which I don't think we'll ever know if it's actually really
reality,
over.
right.
Because even if they find a cure, like if it's like the flu, right? I mean,
It's something we're going to have to
it's
work
like you
with.
get injected, you could still get the flu because it could be a strain that they weren't
Right.
prepared for.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and so we could literally, this could be a lifetime thing, you know, or,
Right.
you know, forever thing.
Right. And I'm leery, too, of injecting.
Yeah.
Let's say they do come up with a vaccine. I'm leery about
Yeah.
testing that out the first few rounds, honestly. And,
Agreed.
I believe in vaccinating, like, on a long schedule. I don't believe in doing them all bam, bam, bam. But, we have no choice. Like, we have to have the
Yeah.
flu vaccine, otherwise we're fired. We have to have a medical or religious, exception in order to refuse it. But I hope that it doesn't come to that where
Yeah.
we have to be vaccinated. Because, the flu's been around for how long? So we've had time to research it and study it. But this is so new that I don't know that I would get that vaccine if they did come up with one. I don't know. Would you?
I'm not sure.
I probably wouldn't.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys heard that Trump is going to basically by this weekend. This is what I saw in an article that he's gonna basically override governors if they don't allow churches to be open. That he's gonna say, hey, you gotta allow them to be open if they want to be.
Right.
How do you guys feel about that?
I think that I think it's another face that needs to be open.
Yeah.
But I think that also churches will take the precaution.
Yeah, leave it to them.
You know?
Yeah.
I think that it should be like, here's the point. The same thing that they're opening Lowe's, the same way that they're opening Walmart, and they're taking their precautions. Just let the church do the precaution that
Right.
they need
Limiting
to do
the
for
amount
that.
of people.
Yeah.
Because even I'm a sports guy. Like
And
I'm
concerts.
in concerts
We
and
miss
stuff
that.
like that. I miss concerts. I miss sports. I love music and sports and all those kind of things. And how in the world are they going to be doing concerts now?
Yeah.
Where in an amphitheater or in a center where they play basketball or stuff like that. I think that we could do it.
Yeah.
It just depends on how they do it. Like if you get a concert, then maybe do it a 2-night concert. Like for instance, me and my daughter and I should not have said that, but my daughter and I, let me correct my grammar. My daughter and I, we were going to go to WrestleMania.
It's Polk County. We don't read good.
That's right.
We ain't from Polk County originally, though.
I'm sorry. I'm from Polk County, so.
But me and my daughter. We were going to go to WrestleMania in April, and throughout the COVID, they canceled the whole thing. And the greatest thing was we watched WrestleMania at home, but for the first time ever, WWE decided as a company to do the show on two nights. They did it on Saturday and on Sunday, and then they because the WrestleManias will take like 5, 6, 7 hours.
Yeah.
So long. It's like a Super Bowl
Yeah.
for wrestling every year. So like how they did it, I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. So looking ahead, you could probably be able to accomplish certain things with concerts, mainly with concerts and these public entertainment points.
Yep.
That you could probably do them in 2 nights, or you can have like a 1 o'clock show and a 7 o'clock show.
Yep.
And I think that churches, and they could probably do the same thing. They can actually correlate to try to have a certain amount of people come into their building to do the service, but so that way they can provide that.
Yeah.
So I think it could be done, and I think if the government's working towards that, I think that is a great idea.
And that's the thing. People don't understand, like, if you can't underestimate the human ingenuity and spirit. Like, we'll figure out how to make things work.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if we're limited in a certain way, all right, we'll figure out something outside the box to just get it going.
It's crazy, even as a gamer, and I know we should not be talking too much.
She's
about
like, all right,
games,
I'm
if
out.
not, it's gonna be all night long about games.
I can't
Brandon and I.
participate.
But hey, it's just gonna be a tiny little bit. But even as a gamer, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was talking to my friend Carlos the other night, and finally he has been able to buy or order from Best Buy and do a curbside to get himself some new headphones.
There you go.
Which
Yeah.
is
And-
great. Best Buy's done a really good job with that.
But here's the point about social. just looking ahead about this, the headsets were out of stock
for
a long time. So it means
same with the bikes,
right? Bicycles,
and all the crafts,
even trampolines too.
Yes, it's like so. It's great that we could see that human society needs social aspect, even if it's just having a video game right in front of you, and at least having some headsets so that way you can talk to your friends.
It's unified a lot of people. I mean,
absolutely.
Angel and I sat down with the kids, because we wanted to see how they were doing with all this, and we sat down and wrote a pros and cons, and there was actually more pros about it than cons. Because it's adjusted a lot of the way that how we live. But going back to your church question, I think churches could open up safely, like Angel was saying, like if they limit the amount of people that come in. But on another note, I think because of everything that we're seeing in society, I think it's essential in the fact that, people need their faith. Not that we need church for our faith. Because we can carry the Lord with us.
But we need each other to...
But, like Angel was saying, we all are different. Some of us need more people than others. But, with the high incidence in depression and people becoming so isolated, and, God is a healthy outlet, like places of worship can become essential in these times, because there's people dying, there's people suffering, so I think it is important, that we open up the churches and, because we need prayer, we need healing, but we need to also do it cautiously and safely, and so I think it's great that, we've had the opportunity to do podcasts from home. I think that it would be wise, like if you're, any of the groups of, immunocompromised groups, to stay home and continue to do these podcasts if they're provided. Or the elderly, just to be cautious, especially, at first, because we could be seeing a second wave of this stuff once we start to be out there in the world again. Just to be cautious, and if they just limit the amount that come in, I heard somebody say that I spoke to, they could skip a chair, or they can, space out the rows, sort of stuff, and then limit the amount of people that come in. Because when you are singing and worshiping, like, you are getting that aerosolized air out. And so, the people next to you are going to breathe it in. So I think if we take the necessary precautions, I think it would be a good thing. Like Angel was saying, if the Walmart's going to remain open and the Lowe's and the Target, why not open up churches? But do it like, how they're doing it, spacing stuff out, making sure that people are remaining distant, So, I mean, if people start coming in and, like, hugging each other and all that stuff, then it kind of defeats the purpose. But I think that it is essential in these times to open up,
Yeah, and I think that, because I see, whenever I look at this stuff, like, I see, like, so many different extremes. Like, everybody's like, shut it down,
Right.
And it's like, well, yeah, we could do that, but then there's a lot of other problems that are going to come with that, too, and that includes death.
Right.
And then there's the other side where it's just like, you know what, just open everything up. People make their own choices, which, I mean, to a degree, I kind of agree, but it's like... we got to be safe too, because like if this is really killing people and this is something that if people are dying in the streets, we need to shut it down.
Right.
Because if it's like a black plague and it's like we're going to lose 500,000, 50 million people, whatever it is, okay, we need to kind of be safe, at least for a very limited time. But that can't be sustained either. So it's like
it's a very
delicate
tough
balance.
spot.
It's a delicate balance.
Like I can't even imagine how government's dealing with this, because if you shut everything down, then you're killing the
it's like choose your
the
poison.
finances, like people are losing their jobs, they can't, feed their families, there has to be a balance, like you said, and I do believe that eventually we're going to build up, herd immunity at some point.
Yeah, agreed.
So we'll see. I mean, like you said, we'll find a way to make things work.
Exactly.
But I think we do have to find a way to make things work, because it's really affecting people. Like we're seeing it in the kids, we're seeing it in adults.
Yeah. I think the fear and like the bitterness, because like one thing I definitely see, and this comes from politics and people just thinking they're right and all that stuff, is this almost hatred for one another.
Right.
And that's gonna just cause everything to be worse. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Whether you think first of all, if you're not in a position to make decisions, not that you need to keep your mouth shut, but you just need to realize it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? You could say, this is what I want, which, great. You know what I'm saying? But ultimately, we've elected our leaders to make decisions and
pray that they'll make the right decisions.
Exactly. Fighting about it, not going to help. Not going to help.
No.
You can state your opinion and all that stuff, but this bitterness and this anger and this venom, that's not going to hurt. That's just going to drive us apart from each other. That's going to cause animosity,
Right.
anger and violence and, all this stuff. We need to find a way to not do that. You know what I'm saying? To have civil conversations and exchange ideas in a very productive way.
Right.
Because it's just going to make our entire situation worse.
And if anything, this would be something that could unify us,
And it should.
As
very should.
Not only a country, but as the world, as human beings, because other countries are having to deal with this, So let's talk about what's worked for you guys, But like you said, not be negative towards one another. Yeah, it's good to have your opinions, but like also receive feedback from the other, or like, oh, well, you're probably a Democrat or a Republican, not like that, you know. I often find myself in that situation. I was like, no, this is just how I feel, but so if anything, I would have Democrat, Republican, everything into one conversation,
right.
If it were that way, but it's what's right and what's beneficial, what's not, bounce back ideas and see what works.
I would also say if you're making a decision 100% from fear, that's not a very good decision.
No.
You need to be, I think fear, if you use it right, can turn into wisdom, in the sense of like, okay, this is dangerous, I need to figure out a way how to, get around it or whatever. But if it's just like, oh my God, we're all going to die, it's like, that's not a very, because you're going to do something very rash.
Right, you're not going to be level-headed, right.
And it's just everywhere, unfortunately. And so, hopefully anybody listening, I'm sorry.
The media's done a good job about that, though. I think,
and I agree.
How many times have you looked at, like, a news article, and then when you actually read the article, I was like, well, why did they put that headline? It makes it sound so negative or scary.
Scary, yep.
And I think, we live in a world where, like, there's different cultures, there's different levels of, understanding and education. So, like, some people are going to take things for what they come, and then some people are going to, like, exaggerate it, or take it the wrong way. So I think the media has, done a good job about, like, scaring people and putting numbers out there. I think there came a point where I had to just stop going into the CDC website. I had to stop listening to the news. Because it was making me anxious. I was anxious coming into work every time I had to go to work, so I didn't need more of it,
And even that affects your health too, if you're anxious enough.
And all it does is, shut down your immune system, and then makes you even more, predisposed to get sick, with all those cortisol levels going up. So, fear is not good, and it's not helping anyone. I think the media needs to
chill out.
A little bit of job. Educate the public, but not exaggerate it
exactly
so much.
Let's take a positive spin. What do you think are some good things that we can walk away from all this?
Yeah, people have learned to use their Lysol wipes.
Wash your hands, wipe your butt.
Use toilet paper. Wash your hands, like hygiene, I guess, all those things, I guess, that got lost in translation. A lot of the things that the kids, from that list that Angel and I did with the kids, the kids mentioned, more family time. Like, they're spending more time with their parents, and they love it,
Hopefully they do.
There's no bikes in the bike racks. People are getting out there and exercising, and, they're not just sitting around and watching TV. And I guess at that point, it gets old, So they're actually getting out there and, breathing the fresh air and using all those pools and equipment, So they're getting out there and they're doing other things because they're not going out and shopping and theme parks. And
let me also say I am so happy that the gyms are open. I've gone every day since it opened, and I can't be excited enough.
Let me tell you, it's hard running in the heat of Florida.
Yeah.
Not fun. So I'm excited about that too. What was the other positive?
Positive spin.
Positive, bro. It's brought families together.
Agreed.
That's the biggest one. I think because of not having so much of social aspects, the families have been able to come together. How many videos you see from families just playing and doing things together. I think that's the number one. The biggest one that I've seen is also how not polluted the world is. I mean, sometimes the
air's cleaner.
Yes, like people are seeing the Himalayas from like
I saw that
from the city. I was like, wow, like
or the water,
the dolphins in Italy. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes I even say like maybe just not to say too much, and I'm not a theologian or whatever, but maybe God just kind of let this pass because maybe the earth needed to breathe. And maybe we needed to have a different perspective on life.
Absolutely. I think I've seen a lot of outpouring of people getting closer to God. Like they're praying more. They're getting in the presence of the Lord because they're so scared. They're asking for God to like protect their families and praying for the sick.
Absolutely.
So that's happened. One of the cool things for us, we were able to have service and communion at home with our kids, and we'd never done that. I mean, we always went to church, but to me, I think it just, I mean, there's so many levels to unpack here. It was huge to be able to experience that with them and to think, this is our first church, like our children, we got to worship with them and listen to a message together and share communion at home, and I think it's made us want to do it. I mean, we were already doing devotions in the morning, but it made us want to do it more. We should be pouring into our kids more, but we've had more time to do it, and we're having to do it at home because there's no other option. So that was cool, being able to enjoy service with them in our living room and not worry about our kid pulling somebody's clothes or running around the service, So
and I will say, it freed up a lot for sure.
It really did.
People saying, I'm too busy. Right.
You're
not anymore.
That is so true.
Right. So, like, you've been able to text that person you haven't talked in so long, or make that phone call, and, a lot of the things at home that were falling apart, people are having time to, like, actually do them, because they were home. So I think coming out of this, maybe we need to be more, we were talking about boundaries, being a little bit wiser when it comes to that, so that way we don't miss out on those things that I think, like Angel was saying, that guy was like, look at all this stuff that you've been missing out on because you've been too busy doing stuff out there.
Not being too busy.
So maybe it'll change people's perspective and, change the way they do stuff. Once they start going out there.
Yeah, and I think we kind of, like, I think a season of busyness is okay, but it's like if your life is just consistently busy and you're ignoring the things that are important, then I don't know what you're doing, to be honest, because that's not how you should live. Because the people need you, like children, because I know a lot of people were, because they actually had to stay home with their kids, and maybe that might not have been normal, and then they're like, oh man, my kids are jacked up, and that's probably because you haven't been there. And I know that's not, a lot of families, but there are a lot of families that are like that.
I think you're right. I've seen a lot of that. We were used to the kids being at home because this is our second year homeschooling, but our first year that when we started, when I had them all day, I said the same thing you just said. I'm like, oh my gosh, what have I been doing? We have a lot of work to do. Not just academically, and other things, and like you said, you just get so busy. Even if you're doing good stuff, like you have no idea, how much, they need until you're actually present and you're there.
Yeah, I think we're so caught up with providing for them that we're not actually providing relationally for them.
Right.
And
it is hard for them
important.
being home all day, but you know what? They're our kids, so.
Yeah, it's true. There's more than one dynamic to this whole thing, and I think COVID kind of brought that out. Yeah. So that definitely is a good thing.
Absolutely.
Man. But it has been crazy. It's definitely been very crazy.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't wish this on anybody else. But, all right, we've talked about COVID. So what do you guys want to talk about at this point? We can switch gears if you want.
Switching gears.
Yeah.
Movies. TV shows.
Right? So, speaking of movies, this kind of goes back into Corona. I don't know if they're going to survive. Like, they are, like, movie theaters.
Wow, that's true.
I know.
I don't know if you saw...
Survive.
I don't know. I saw AMC's going out of business. I don't know if you saw that.
Wow.
Well, see, this is big for us because we met at a movie theater.
Really?
Yes.
And movies have always been a huge part of our lives. That and, music and, TV shows.
And talking about social aspects, we went to the same exact school.
Yeah.
Never met.
Same exact school, and we never met in
Really?
school.
That's funny.
But we met in a movie theater.
Right.
So
That's funny.
Yeah. So you can imagine. So
Yeah, I love movies. I
Yeah.
love everything about, going to the theater and getting popcorn and sitting, on a nice chair and watching movies. But I think will come like we were talking about this, maybe drive-ins are gonna be a thing now. Maybe that's gonna be a good, option for a while. I think Puerto Rico is in the works. We were just discussing this of opening up their first drive-in, because I think we have one, but back home that's not a thing, So they're gonna be opening up to doing that, and most of the people that remember drive-ins are like our grandmas or great grandmas.
I honestly think, and I mean this is just my opinion, because I mean when you, especially with COVID going around, and you have like a movie. And you say, hey, I can go see this in the movie theaters or a drive-in, or I can just go ahead and rent it from my TV, my Xbox, whatever. It's like the decision's kind of clear, right? Just pop some popcorn and just watch it here. And that's why I think people are going to be like, well, I don't want to go out and risk getting COVID or risk, other
but
things.
Wasn't it, which movie? Trolls. That came out recently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the other one from Disney, Onward, was it?
Yes.
Onward, yeah.
Like it was in the movie theater, and then all of a sudden they just threw it on Disney Plus.
Right. So like I heard Trolls did great.
Yeah.
Really?
Mind you, there's a lot of bored kids at home, and the parents were like, buy it,
What else
do
to do?
it.
Right.
So I mean, I think they said that it did great. Just as good as if it were in theaters.
Very good.
So, are we going to see more of this? Like, people building like their own movie theater at home, or are they going to have to stream them and people are going to purchase them that way? Or, will they, not allow certain people to sit on one aisle and then skip an aisle? I don't know.
They could probably just have shut down certain, areas.
Because, I mean, if they open up the church,
It's true.
if you think about it, they could just limit the amount of people that attend. Because at a church, you're talking, you're singing, you're praising, you're hugging your neighbors, you're
But
high-fiving.
one's religious and the other is just kind
Right,
of
so not
entertainment.
essential, not right this second, but eventually as they progressively start opening things up, they could in a safe way, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But you're also talking about like how they will
Survive
respond.
until that
Right.
that happens.
I don't know, man. Like even doing shows, or doing the movies, right?
Yeah, because productions right now have halted.
I mean, unless productions, they really have a certain amount of people doing certain scenes.
Yeah.
Like maybe you could split productions on, let's do production here for this scene, let's do production here for this scene, and try to get things together. I mean, I know it's probably going to last longer.
Yeah, definitely.
Like a TV show, like that they need to do another season or something like that. I don't know how they're going to.
Yeah, financially, how they're gonna survive.
But if they do it on step by step instead of kind of like throwing it out there like they do for a couple of weeks, they could do it. I know movies might not really get so jammed about
Maybe
it.
we're gonna see
I think
more
TV
like
shows will probably-
biopics. People filming their own stuff.
Yeah.
Go back to that.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, documentaries and stuff like that. Because even the documentary with The Last Dance now, I mean, that was pretty cool. Just watching that, and I don't even know how in the world they've kept that in nowhere in the last 22 years, because they did it on 97, 98, and all of a sudden now they just put it out there. So but I don't know how they're going to do it, but
that in malls. We were talking. Angel and I were discussing malls and stores. Because
man, malls are gonna die.
I mean, Amazon's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
right.
But like a lot of people, before this happened, people were loving the, comfort of just ordering something and it arrives at your doorstep. So you don't have to like. But some people enjoy going out and
and I think that's the
buying
thing
things
is like, because you can't replace going out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, obviously, it's got to be a certain mood, but like, I don't see a lot of people just always ordering out. Like, you know what? I need to get out of the house. I need to get away from the kids. I'm just go shopping.
Right. And it's healthy to get out and do things. Because being stuck at home, there comes a point where like it gets old.
I just feel like the entertainment industry is at a disadvantage because
very much.
if you could be entertained at home as opposed to like, you know what, I'm going to go for a run, I'm going to go, work out, I'm going to go shopping, but to go be entertained, it's like, you know what, I would just rather be entertained at home. At least that's how I would feel.
Right.
Right.
I think that's what's happening,
With the exception of maybe like theme parks, stuff that you couldn't get at home, but like watching a movie, watching a concert, all that stuff. It's like, well, I mean, there is a certain, I guess, degree of, atmosphere that you get when you're there.
Yeah.
But I just don't know if that would be strong enough, in my opinion.
I don't think it probably would be. I mean, but in a
I
positive...
hate to see it go.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, yeah, it would be, yeah.
But you know what? In a positive way, just thinking about it, maybe people will start actually paying attention more into parks that are, in the green. The county parks and stuff like that.
Like I said, I mean, I'm used to
trails and stuff. I'm not sure.
I mean,
that's just my thought.
I'm used to being around germs and viruses all the time.
Yeah.
And people aren't very clean all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm used to being around this.
Shoot.
And no matter what we do, it's gonna be an issue. Yeah. So my whole thing is, eventually once this stuff, we need to open things back up. I mean, it can't be forever, like you said. There are other things. Flu has always been there. Bacteria has always been there. There's tons of viruses out there that.
I mean, there's so much out there.
There's so much out there.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be. So we need to be able to live with it. And. Hygiene and being cautious, teaching our kids about hygiene and how important it is to not just cough out,
And it's very true.
So I don't think that we shouldn't open back up theaters. I think eventually we need to, and, and the things that we used to enjoy doing, I'm not sure if this is our reality moving on.
People don't understand, too, like, when you really look at the numbers and you look at history, because, we talk about the Spanish flu of 1918, 50 to 60 years ago, I don't know if you know this, but we were at half the population than we are today. Right? That's not even in the Spanish flu yet, right? And that Spanish flu killed 50 million people, right? That would be literally, if we took that number to today, that would be 100 million people to today, right? And you look at the numbers of COVID, like they're just not there, right? And we have so many more types of viruses, like, HIV, flu,
well, we have much
COVID, like all these things.
More ways to test, too.
And, back then, like, I mean, people were dying like that, and they had less population, Now we have more than double the population, and we have...
Modern medicine.
We have modern medicine, we have all that stuff, and then we have a tenth, not even, I'm literally just throwing a number out there. We have a fraction of the deaths that we have from COVID than we did, like, the Spanish flu.
Yeah.
We got to open up. I mean, that's my...
Absolutely.
And it's already been, what, like 6 months?
And I mean...
Since it started, like November, December, January, February, March,
But,
April,
also back then, like we didn't have as much industry as we have now.
And that's true. That's very true.
Or the social aspect, because people walked to their destination,
And that's true.
We didn't have malls and, churches were smaller, a lot of people were homeschooled and the school wasn't, big, so, I mean, the lifestyle was different as well. People ate different, than they eat now. Medicine was different. There wasn't as much, medicine and things as we have now. So, I mean, but like you said, I think we need to do it, but, not forgetting what we've learned with COVID.
Yeah. If I remember my history right, what the biggest reason that it spread so fast was in 1918 was because of the mail. Because they hand delivered.
That's true.
Hand delivered you the mail.
Wow.
They walked right up to your door. And
these things carry a lot of junk.
I'll probably assume also with food.
Yeah.
How in the world they will
Agreed.
Because they didn't have fast foods. So everything had to be pretty much
to your door.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. They brought milk.
So everything was just given to them. I think that's and now with curbside and all these kind of things, I think it's
different.
Even in nursing school, like it's just the top reason of infection control. Hand washing. It's like huge, and cover your mouth when you sneeze.
And I think we are doing, like I said, the right thing.
Basic hygiene would go a long way.
Yes.
Right.
Like really, showering consistently, washing your hands consistently, not touching your face.
Yep.
I mean, in my opinion, I don't think a mask is necessary if you're doing all that stuff, but some people want to wear it if that's what you want.
I think for a while people were worried about like if this thing was airborne.
Yes.
Yeah. Again, a lot of the things that we, is everybody cautious when they cough or when they talk, or,
And that's true.
So, at least at work we do because we come in contact with a lot of
Me too.
public.
I have to use it.
But if you're keeping your distance and like you said, depending on the situation or where you're at, then I agree.
And so let's switch gears. This is a hard switch. Sorry.
Wow.
All right. When's your next book coming out, man? I know it set you back. I know COVID set you guys back.
We are really set back. Like we send the book 3, the draft for the book 3 on March, and we have not gotten any response.
Yeah.
So we don't know when book 3 is gonna come out. Hopefully, it comes out this year. That's all I'm, hoping. But Glenn and I are working on a from the same story, trying to do the third book's going to be called The Coming Trials. If you guys have not checked out, make sure
very appropriate for the times.
Right, The Coming Trials.
Yeah.
The only thing better would have been The Coming Pandemic.
Yeah. Or The Coming COVID, but that's not going to go. So anyway, The Coming Future is the first book, and The Coming World is the second one. Make sure that you guys check it out on Amazon. I know the first one is Audible, paperback and digital. The second one has not come out in Audible yet.
Yeah.
But it's already in digital and paperback. The Coming Future, The Coming World. So the third one is going to be The Coming Trials. And what Glenn and I have been talking about is to do certain trials for other characters on the story.
Very cool.
So those we are going to self-publish them.
Nice.
So that way we can put it out there for everybody, and that way people can have more of the story. Even though our story is only going to be 5 books, it's going to be a penthology. We will do certain small trials. Which
if anybody wants to pick this book up and make a movie,
there you go.
That'll be epic if somebody.
Don't worry, dude. I'll become a millionaire. I'll make a movie.
That'll be awesome. But if you guys are into
Brandon will be directing.
like Harry Potter, Chronicles of Narnia, and steampunk for sure, you will definitely love it.
It is a very good book. I've read it. It's good. It's very good.
But yeah, hopefully The Coming Trials coming out this year. But make sure to check us out, turnerandtorres.com, and we will have more information on the coming trials of the next characters, and hopefully, we will definitely have one of those trials this year for sure.
Absolutely. And COVID has set everything back, man.
I know, man.
It's frustrating.
It's ridiculous.
Like I have a business in the works already, and I haven't gotten my stuff. Yeah, I can't do anything. Yeah. And it's frustrating. So frustrating.
So that's one of the big negatives of this COVID for sure.
Charisse, when's your book coming out? She's got to write it first. But you guys are gonna be waiting a while.
I have to write it first. I'm letting him do all the work right now.
And Glenn, when's Glenn coming on?
I don't know, Glenn. You gotta. What's up, dude? Where you been? Where you been?
Right.
You gotta come by, brother. Sit right here.
I get to feed the writer and take care of his needs.
There you go. So he can produce the books.
Right. So technically, I've written some of the book too.
There you go. Right. Yeah, her essence is on that book.
That's right. That's
right. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah,
that's funny. But hopefully we'll be getting through this soon, and I know it's set everybody back, and it's been frustrating.
For sure.
You know what the most useless purchase of 2019 was?
What was it?
It was a 2020 planner.
Wow.
There's my joke for the day, guys. All right, well, we can start winding it up then, unless you guys have some more stuff you want to say. Or
Most valuable would be toilet paper.
That's right.
There you go. It's like gold right now.
And some Lysol wipes. If, whoever hoarded them last, please bring me one. I have none.
Really?
I know, right?
That's funny.
People that usually used it regularly now don't have any, so.
People that were clean can't be as clean.
Right.
Man. Well, thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you for having us, man.
And Charisse, thank you for being a first timer. Hopefully you'll be back soon.
Anytime.
One day. So, all right, well, we love you guys. Stay safe out there. Stay clean. Be very hygienic. Don't kill each other, for the love of God.
Please don't.
All right, we need each other, unfortunately, whether you like that or not. And so we will see you again next time. Hopefully it won't be another month or two, which I don't think it will, because now people are starting to come on.
That's right.
Right? That's right. It was hard getting people to come on, all right? Because people were just like, I don't know.
Your house is probably cleaner than where we work, so.
Very true. That's very true. So, all right, love you guys. We will see you next time, and I'm out.
Peace.